I am interviewing Tamara Churchman, and she's the principal at Crestview School of Inquiry.
Hi.
Okay, I'll begin now. What are 2 or 3 program activities that you do in your school to promote or increase parent involvement with children's education?
Say the last part of the question again.
What do you do to promote or increase parent involvement in a child's education?
So currently, right now, in our particular school, since we have such a transient population, demographics, what we've done is usually at the beginning of the school, we always do the back to school night, and that's when the teachers and the parents and the children connect. However, when we have such a transient state, we don't have that. So we're purposefully every 2 months now we're going to go ahead and have those intermediate back to school nights. Only it'll be with myself and a couple other people within the building in order to assimilate them to school and what school's all about. That's one thing. And then, as you know, being on the building leadership team, one of the other things that we're going to do is we're having academic nights every 2 months, not only to help the parents connect to the school, but also to give them the skills to help their child at home and let them feel a part of the community. That's just a few.
Do you have any ways that you gather feedback from parents that provides you with some direction for programs, policies, or changes?
We do send out surveys, climate and culture surveys to the staff, but to the families we also send out surveys too. So every year I have the opportunity to send out what's called a 360 survey. That's optional, but I do get some feedback on at least from a handful of parents. But I think that's a great idea to actually look at that a little bit more and to see what else can we do. As far as policies, that's more of the district-wide, given our size. And yes, they always, with the SIAC or the school network community or committee, they seek feedback on going through the district level.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good.
Do parents have any role in decision making in your school? And if so, what?
So right now we're trying to make sure that we build up our PTC, Parent Teacher Committee. They have a say in the sense of, what kind of fundraisers they'd like to do. Also, where do they want to spend the monies that they actually have. I also meet with the executive team and we talk about what some of the needs are here in the building. And then I also serve as kind of a liaison for the parent-teacher committee in order to answer questions, to gain feedback. And I've also tried to specifically connect with other groups in our building, such as the mentor group, the parent mentor group. I always try to go in there and try to see what's going well, what's some things to do. Before coming to school here this year, I did meet with a couple different parent groups, just to find out what's going well, and also what do we need to continue to shore up on. That's one of the reasons why we are doing what we are doing out in the front, is because safety was a huge concern. So we're doing ongoing, maybe informal feedback now, more formal at the beginning of the year.
Awesome. Let's see. How do you communicate about your school to the community at large, and do you have any systems to do that?
So that's my goal, is to really lift up some of the great things that are happening here, so parents know what's happening within the school, and also just to break down the walls between the community and school. There are 3 ways that I primarily stay in contact with the parents on a weekly basis. One is we have our school Facebook. So like today, I'll be taking pictures of the parties, or when we shared out with the board meeting. We took lots of pictures. So lifting those up and just giving a really quick, brief descriptor of what's happening. In conjunction, I also share my weekly parent news with the Facebook, because we know that some of our families get Facebook, but they don't have email, and they can get Facebook off their phone. That's one way. The other way is I also send it out Infinite Campus, that just pushes out anybody that can. And then we have what's called Blackboard. And so that can, if we have a few enough tech or a few enough letters, we can actually send it out through text. So we try to send out the weekly on that. And then the other item that we have is we have our newsletter, our building newsletter and that goes out every 2 weeks. So Tamron's working on it right now. She puts some things in there, then she gets my feedback to see other things that we need to put in there as
Sure.
well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are a few teacher-related concerns that you deal with most often that prevent potential school or community relationship problems? This was a question that my
Yeah.
sister struggled with just because it's so general.
It's general, but yet then it's specific because then
Mhm.
it talks about community-wide. I think right now, some of the things that have been lifted up just because of, again, our demographics, not to make excuses,
Mm-mm.
but it's when kids are coming and they don't have enough of supplies, if they don't
Yeah.
have the right clothing, if they don't have the right ways to get to school even.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, I have a lot of teachers coming to me and letting me know about some of the home situations that are
Yeah.
happening. So they bring that to me a lot. And then, of
Mhm.
course, I work with you, I work with Terry, I work with our B, our
Mhm.
family liaison. But constantly trying to then connect to the community and figuring out, okay, here's the need, here's definitely a huge deficit, but how can we make sure that those needs are met? How can we help them to
Mhm.
connect within the community?
For B's position, we're very lucky to be
It's-
able to do that.
It really is. I mean, she's truly a blessing, and we keep her
Mhm.
busy all the time. But we don't have enough of her,
No, we do
especially
not.
right now. We don't have enough of her. But then there's that ginger. There's that ginger time. It kind of goes with it. Is like I got a note from a parent. A teacher actually tried to help. They brought the attention to me, but yet then I got a note from a parent saying she was deeply offended that
Mhm.
somebody would think that her child doesn't have enough. And so again, we're trying to educate the whole child, trying to make those connections to the families, trying to connect them to the communities without being
Mm-hmm.
a one-stop shop either.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a song and dance right now.
It
I mean,
is.
really kind of a
Mhm.
song and dance. So that's kind of like what they're
Mhm.
bringing to me, but yet community related.
Yeah, it's tough.
Mhm.
It's a balance between school and home.
It is. It's hard.
And we are their home for a
We
lot of
are.
our kids.
Yep.
Is there someone that you call or notify when difficult issues like these mentioned above occur?
B as
Uh-huh.
our liaison. The other thing, I contact our SRO.
Mhm.
We utilize him a lot. And then if indeed that there's some real issues of wonders, then of course the DHS.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have a question of whether or not something needs to be reported, then I contact Joe Libby, my director. And so
Do you ever
It's
reach
just
out to Dr. Ramey, or usually now since Joe has?
I don't reach out to
position?
Dr. Ramey necessarily unless, of course, I see it as a systemic thing.
Okay.
And in other words, or an equity thing,
Mhm.
such as you know, we have a huge low or high SES,
Mm-hmm.
low SES, I should say. Not all schools are facing some of the challenges
Mhm.
that we have. They have a lot more money
Mhm.
from their PTC.
Totally.
So, they're able to go and help meet some of those needs through the PTC or PTA or whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. We don't have that
Mhm.
luxury. And so that's some of the things I go to her
Yeah.
on and say, okay, because our children also have that much of,
Mhm.
they need to have that opportunity, the STEM lab and some
Mhm.
of the technology components. So I go to her for that. But as far as
Good.
other things, usually
There's usually someone else in
Mhm.
line.
Yep, I usually go to Joe, and I
Mhm.
guess I liken it to if a teacher has a concern, I'd like them to partner with me
Mhm.
first, and then
That is
Joe.
true. Yep.
And so I have to practice the same thing I would want, and
Mhm.
so because I'm here to support the teachers,
Mhm.
they don't necessarily need to go to the next person, but
Yep.
I want them to feel comfortable too. But yeah, at the same time, I want to make sure that I can be the support first,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Awesome.
no, I don't go to Dr. Amy very often.
And the last question is, do you have any suggestions or tips for me as I'm in getting my admin degree when working with parents or community members?
Yeah. So one of
I'm
the
sure you
things,
have a laundry list.
no, one of the things that I've been very purposeful is just being out there in the morning.
Mhm.
Even though it takes about a half hour of my time in the morning where I have a ton of things I could be doing, just connecting with the families and greeting the children, trying to get to know their names, that has just been instrumental because now I've developed
Mhm.
some kind of a relationship with them. being very visible out there, being visible out, by the bus areas, calling positives, making those positive phone calls, initially celebrating with children and trying to contact the parents. Huge, because again, when you get to have those tough, crucial conversations, you at least have a relationship that's already been developed. The other thing is, like with community members, I've made an effort to meet with the mayor and the city commissioners and other people that we partner with. So going to different community events in order to at least have that relationship connection. I get a chance to meet them. Going to the Lions Club and being a part of the Lions Club.
Yeah.
Anything that's community based, we want to again make sure that we have a community, that we're not an island, and that we can help meet their needs, but also vice versa, to build that strong relationship. But as far as parents, again, just constantly, I see them trying to reach out and talk to them, find out what's going well, and then just celebrating with them as well.
Awesome.
And so, any other questions?
No.
You did say it was going to go quick.